Hey, good morning, kids. Mark Miller here. Rory's with me on the line. How you doing, Rory?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Good.
Ready to rock, so to speak.
Yeah, I think I'm ready to go. Except for I really wanted to do more explosive stuff today, but I kind of ran into what I believe is a block, and because I'm in Costa Rica and not in the States, I don't have access to the materials I need to kind of break through this easily. So what I've decided to do is postpone the show, the continuation of the show for blowing things up, till when I get back from the States. I'm going to be in the States next week, and I'm going to pick up a more industrial strength power supply. Let me just switch over to. Oh, really? Is that not working? Looks like I'm missing. Like one of my cameras has decided not to work. I was going to show you this, but it's. Let me just see if there's any way I can go in and reset the camera. So we can find that there. There it is right there. There's the camera. Yeah, it's definitely, let me try deactivating it, reactivating it. You gonna get it? No. Doesn't look like the camera is going to, and I just plugged something in, but it wasn't one
the
of.
stream. You just started hosting C# Fritz again.
Oh, you're kidding.
I'm gonna refresh just in case, but
It says my OBS says I'm still streaming, but I just plugged something in and heard like click, 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 you know, the relays go.
I refreshed and you're back, so maybe a glitch at my end.
I'm going to guess it probably was not. Interesting. Yeah, so the Logitech, this camera is apparently, the camera that I have, my desktop camera is not, let's see if I can follow that baby all the way, the line all the way back. See, that somehow got disconnected. Am I going to be able to get that all the way? Yeah. All right. Well, maybe I have it here. Hold on a second. Coming all the way. There it is right there. Let's unplug a second and plug it back in. See if we get it now. See if that's what we needed.
Your audio sounds a little different too, as if you're maybe closer to the microphone than normal.
Look at that, I got it.
Hey, camera's back. Good.
Yeah, so that's good. Interesting to know that I need to check that now, that sometimes that may go away. So the problem that I ultimately concluded that we were having, Rory, was every power supply I was trying with this was, would, if I did a voltage check on it, would be fine. If I connected it up, it would essentially drop to zero. It would just stop supplying voltage to it, essentially what my theory is, what I believe was happening.
Okay.
And I think that's because the power supplies that I was using, all of them, and I think I ended up trying like 4 different ones by between yesterday and today. This morning I was trying a few more. And even though they were telling me that they had sufficient amperage, I ran across a thread on Stack Overflow that was discussing the likelihood of these having kind of built-in safety shutdown features. So it was basically concluding that it was shorted, and so it stopped delivering power. And I suspect that all of the power supplies I was using were having that problem. So I need to get a special kind of power supply, I think, to work with this. I did try, just to show you this right here, I created another one right here. There, you can take a look at that right there. I created one with a longer wire because I was suspecting that because I was using such a short wire, there was virtually no resistance across the line. It was looking like, because this nichrome wire is essentially like a resistor.
Yep.
So I said, well, let's, make the wire longer and see if we can get anything. The other problem I have too, I didn't realize this would require so much science to make this work. But my multimeter is a cheap multimeter with one of these little bar dials. I mean, one of these little needle dials, and we're dealing with such low resistance that I need a digital multimeter to really get a sense of what my numbers are,
Sure.
because it says, hey, if I connect just to regular copper wire, it's 0 ohms, and if I connect to this, even this one, it's still essentially 0 ohms. And I can't really tell what the difference is between where we are, what its actual resistance is. So with that set back, we're gonna kind of go back to the.
Put that on hold for a little bit, yeah?
Yeah, put that on hold. Go back to the code is kind of what we'll do. We did make some changes to the game engine. Let me do, let's see here. I wanted to go to, I think, layouts. And I have a detonation game 1. And I'm going to just do a duplicate of this. And I'm going to call it detonation game 0. And we'll just create this real quickly here without, we're going to kind of essentially build a hole right here between the top and me so that I can just show you what I did. We'll put a little bit of a wall there like that, and then that should be enough to get a drop down into that area. So that'll be detonation game 0, and then we'll copy that to clipboard and go find detonation game 1 where that's used. It's used here. Select that, duplicate that selection, and we'll call this det 0. And it's going to trigger that game right there.
Good.
And then we'll
got a duplicate level with a big hole in it so that we can actually bomb you effectively and determine that has in fact worked. And
then we'll refresh. Now, by the way, you'll notice I'm actually not running. I haven't hit start yet up here on the on this, but I think I figured out how to separately start up the overlay manager.
Nice.
Nice, but maybe not so brilliant. But basically, running the command .NET overlay manager.dll. I do get this in red, which makes me nervous, but it doesn't appear to be an error. It just is basically some, apparently some important information. So it seems like it might be running. And when we were starting up the welcome stream, I was testing out a couple things. I launched a drone. I did a few other things. So I think there's a shot that if I type in drone right now, I'll get a drone. Which means also if I type in test det 0, that should work. And it didn't. That did not work.
Right, but we need to have that. Have you only just relaunched that application using the .NET mechanic?
So what's interesting is det 1 works, det 0 does not. Have I relaunched it? Well, it just shouldn't matter.
You haven't compiled it since, have you?
I did not. This is from yesterday's build of the overlay manager, but that shouldn't matter because the changes we made were in the TypeScript.
Of course, yes.
I suspect if we go into the drone game in OBS and we say, okay, here you are, and we say, let's go ahead and refresh cache, I think there's a chance that we'll get a reload on that and it'll work. Let's see if that works. It would be good. I'll take it. And then I'll just show you the last thing, the other thing we did yesterday. See if that test det 0. I bet that's what we needed here. Sometimes it needs a refresh and sometimes it doesn't. I don't exactly know why. I haven't quite been able to figure that out. Let's see if test det 0 works now. It's not. Test det 1 does work. Det 0, destination game 0. Oh, guess who didn't save this? It's not saved up here. You can't see it. Let me move it over here. There you can see it's not saved right there. So let's save that. That could be that's probably our problem. Let's come back and then one more time we'll reload. We'll do that.
It's a good excuse. I think we have to forgive the computer for not maybe catching that one.
The computer? Yeah, we're forgiving on the computer.
This time, obviously.
Not of ourselves. If we made a mistake, we would be unforgiving and you would know it. We'd be the first to be calling that out on the show. And I would be getting my comeuppance. Okay, so let's see what happens.
I'm going
to say test det 0, typing that in the chat room. As soon as we get these scroll bars to go away here and here, that means it's loaded. There it's loaded. Typing it in. There we go. Okay, so now if we do a drone and we come out of here and I fly over to the right, I'm going to pick up a meteor like this. And see the white smoke right there?
Yep.
Watch the white smoke. That means...
White smoke because of the location of the impact. That's it detecting it hit you.
Yes, exactly. That's what we did. And so we just used that hue sprite. Hold on a second. Let me move down a little bit. And then I'm going to throw it off to the left. What? That didn't work. My toss, I guess I need a space if it's a negative number. Toss negative 33, comma 4. There we go. And there, see its color if it jumps out over there. So if it's in this area, it'll be white smoke, and over there, it'll be colored. And so basically that was there to set up, to detect if an explosion on me occurred, which would then trigger the flash spots. That's kind of where we left off. So that's kind of, and there you go, there's that white smoke right there. So we're making use of that really cool sprite class we created, the color changing sprite, I think is what it was called, or something like that. And we played with that yesterday. So the source code for this, by the way, let me get that. I'll bring that up here. It's right here, episode 92 begin. That's what we're working with. I'm going to jump back over. I'll pop it over here into the chat room as well so you can get it. So I'm going to jump back over into WPF. And we're going to play over in that space for a little bit. So in WPF, I'm working on this Dungeons Master app. The Dungeon Master app is for a live Dungeons & Dragons stream. It's going to be kind of a comedy Dungeons & Dragons stream that I'm going to start with, like, I think Dungeon Master and 3 other players plus myself. Nice shot. Yeah, nice shot,
Sounds
right?
like it's going to be quite a blast, actually. As you say, it's yourself and 3 other players, and then a Dungeon Master as well. So you go on an adventure, various things happen. We have effects that we've built over the course of several weeks, which Dungeon Master can employ, and they can have effects on the nature of your characters as well.
Yeah. So I'm going to change my startup project to be just that one, just that Dungeon Master piece right there. I'll draw. It's called the DHDM. The DH stands for the name of the show. It's called Dragon Humpers. You can follow us there. We haven't started any shows yet, but when we do, it'll that's where it'll come out on Twitch. And then I kind of want to go in here to what I was working on, a couple of things that I was working on. So I was working on the attack builder, and I showed a little bit about this. And actually, I'm not sure if I'm going to pick up on where I am, or I might just find something as I go through here and work on it. So this, I'm working here and kind of going through this. Here, I've filled these pieces up with the correct elements, and these are all dynamically generated using that using some of that source code that
You're binding to some enumerations, wasn't it?
Yeah, that Will Bennett sent.
Something similar. Will gave us some great code in that, and that makes things considerably easier because it means you don't have to, literally reproduce checkbox this, checkbox that, checkbox the other, and now go and create the enum to match it, and then have a translation between them. Any of that stuff can sort of be ignored, and you literally just have to add items to the enumeration, and everything else falls out of that. Yeah,
right. And so now one of the things I don't have yet is a damage editor. Now all of these are basically. I'm basically building UI around essentially these low-level objects here out here in the D&D core. So for example, I've got these are my enums, hold on, right down here, I've got an attack right there. And the attack, if we go up to the top, is basically looking like this. And so the attack has, for example, a range on it. And so with the range in the attack builder, I give it this property right over here. And this is using my numEdit user control that we created that lets me specify the units and the label. And so it basically gives me this nice layout here. Then I can also data bind the value here. So I'm data binding it to the reach range here. And so you can see the reach range, it's binding it. It says it's 5, which means we're expecting, actually this is bound not to attack, but it's bound to, I also have another set of classes called in the view models here called the attack, and this one's called the attack view model. And here under reach range, if we use tap to next reference in here to go through that, you can see in its constructor, I set it to 5. And so that's why in our attack builder, this value is 5. That's why this is 30.
All the way through.
Yeah.
Effectively, is that providing some defaults for those just prior to you maybe assembling an attack?
Yeah. It's providing exactly. It's providing defaults because those are common defaults on a lot of different attacks. I don't have actually one of the things I think I might be interested in working on that's not working. I should be working on that should be working and it's not. Is I don't have the default value here working, and I'm not sure why. So we might spend some time investigating that. Well, here I don't have anything bound to it, but I should be able to, I'm expecting to be able, I want to be able to do something like this. Say item, or no, it's selected item, I think. Selected index,
Index
maybe,
numeric, yeah.
and go with binding and set it equal to type dot value. And I want that to work. And the reason why is this is a radio button enum, and the value should, but it's not working. And if I were to come in here and say, well, let's go with 0, oh, that's not working as well. Okay, that could be why it's not working.
Huh.
Okay, so let's figure that out. I think we need to go revisit this. This is a list box. Its item source is binding type.items. Let's go into the TAC view model. Look at type. It's a radio enum list. Okay. It's got its value is here, but what's going on with the value here? Let's see what's going on here. Calculate the value is there, and when we set it, we choose on property changed. We need the radio enum are the items in here. Let's go take a look at that. I think our is checked and needs some tweaking here. Oh, maybe not. Is checked. Hold on, let's go back over into our TAC builder. I think I'm close to figuring out what's wrong here. In our data template, we've just got a straight out binding to is checked. We also have a binding to the group name, which I need to make sure that these radio buttons aren't confused with these radio buttons. Sure. Or alternatively, because each of these are built as part of the list box, they're parented and don't have any siblings, so each of them could be checked at runtime if I don't set the group name separately. So the group name is there. It looks like I Ask Alex is now following. Thanks for that follow. Looks like C# is rating.
Room, yes, it indicates that C# Fritz is rating party of many.
Party of 77.
Welcome everybody. You join us as we are attempting to fix a bug in the WPF control, wherein the idea is to bind, well, I guess it's the various types of attack. So we're building a Dungeons and Dragons control mechanism for a Dungeon Master, and part of that is an attack builder. So the idea is to construct the attack of a creature and the various components that it will have, whether it's good or bad against certain things and all that kind of stuff, the actual magnitude of it. And we're just building the control to allow us to specify that. What we're trying to do is to bind various parts of this to various enumerations, so that rather than have to modify the actual UI of this each and every time we add a new variation, that it'll just pick it up direct from the enumeration, and that'll work a lot better. So the checkboxes, I believe, are working pretty nicely, but we have our radio buttons, which are not quite as up to snuff as they should be. So that's what we're investigating at the moment.
Looks like King 440 is asking, what's that on your hand? I think you're asking about my hands right here. I'm wearing wrist straps, which I've worn for like, I want to say almost 20 years, more than 20 years. And I wear them to prevent carpal tunnel, because I knew I spent a lot of time working on writing code. I used to do it an average of probably 12 hours a day, 365 days a year is what I used to do. That was insanity. And now I do it less. I do it maybe 8 hours a day or something like that, 365 days a year. Maybe not 365, maybe 340 or something like that. But, he was asking about my hand. You think everything is about you, Mark. How do I know it's your hand? I don't know what's going on. I can't see what's on your hand. Well, maybe something.
I guess that's the question, Will. What is on your hand?
Yeah. Well, tell us, Will. It's probably right. It isn't all about me. All right. Well, at least I'm sure I can have, Mr. Announcer Bot apologize for me. Sorry-ish. That was sincere. All right, kids. All right. So, here's what we're looking at. So Will Bandit gave us this code to do this. Basically, turn an enum, a set of enum, and I'll bring up the enum for this. So conditions. We're going on Dungeons and Dragons stuff right now. Conditions. So here's my enum right there, right? Flat out, straight, normal enum. And then it allows us to populate it with checkboxes. It allows us to check the checkboxes and then get the value at the end. That's what it allows us to do.
So very definitely the binding the items is working, because we're
Yeah.
getting our values come through, they're displaying nicely, it's exactly what we want. It's more an issue of the items or checkedness or selectedness of the items that we're maybe having an issue with at the moment.
Yeah, so that all works, but I created from that a derivative class or kind of a similar class called radio enum view model. And also a radio enum list. And so the radio enum list fills it up. So it's got a set of items inside of it in here. And I am feeling that that there's some code in here that I need to look at and check right here in terms of what's going on here. What's going on with the constructor here? Object value is equal to value. So we're setting what its value is. If item is checked, so hold on a second, calculate value. Okay.
That seems pretty valid, yeah.
I feel like I almost need to run this and with breakpoints in these classes here, because I think at design time debugging this is going to be tricky. So let's see if I can, let's see what my main window looks like. That's at least my, my thoughts on this right now. So here's my main window for the Dungeons and Dragons app. Okay, I have one. I have it right here on this page right here. So I've got the mod builder, and the mod builder is using one of these radio lists right here. So let's set some breakpoints inside here, and we'll run it and play with it and see what happens, see where we get, so we can kind of better understand the code. I'm going to set breakpoints at I think all the major methods inside of here. And I've said, now that I've said that, I think I actually want to clear all those breakpoints here. Disable all breakpoints. Let's do that. Let's run just this. We'll see what happens. So the Dungeon Master app that we're running is uses SignalR to communicate to our overlays, which I'm not sure if it'll work or not. I guess we can try that just to see what happens here if I click on this. There you go. So that is the Dungeon Master app communicating through SignalR with the overlay to modify the live stream. So we're actually going to see this kind of graphic when it's a player's turn. This scroll will slam down, it'll open up. We'll see their stats and things like that. And when the Dungeon Master says, oh, I want to look at this page right here, it'll just change to that page like that. Or if I want to go show equipment, we'll be able to do that as well. So
essentially, it's the Dungeon Master's command and control center, isn't it?
Right. We also added this very cool highlighting feature. So if I came in here and I said, okay, time to make a deception check, right? We got a little highlighting thing going on there, and it's all automatic, right? All the Dungeon Master has to do is click on the item here, and the stream graphics are going to modify themselves automatically there. So it works pretty well, and we're pretty happy with that. The piece that I'm working on right now, though, here, let's just clear that out. So we just kind of focused on this. Is this bit right here? So if I click here or here or here, so now actually we have a problem. So this is not working at all like I'm expecting it to work.
These individual radio buttons do not know they're part of a collection.
I think that's because I just recently added the group name and I haven't set it yet here on this. So I need to go look at the mod builder on here. So let's go look at, in our user controls, look at our mod builder. Click up here and let's see what we got. Yeah, it looks like I don't have it. So its group name is what I called it. Wait, nope, hold on a second. It's not here. It's in, wait.
It must be a template that you're applying to it.
Well, here we go. It's binding to group name is what it's doing. It's binding to group name. That's so that this is here, but I need to set the group name, I think, and I'm forgetting where to put that. It is. Let's just do it. Let me see if I can trigger my memory on this and do a search everywhere for group name. See what we get. What? No. Try one more time. It's on another monitor. Let me bring it over here. Okay. So group name, go. So it's binding, so it should be setting it automatically is what it looks like to me. And that group name should be working. So I think it's now time, I'm gonna run it. Yeah, so this is my take on this right here, is where we're creating the radio enum list. Let's see, are we on the view model? Let's see if we're doing the same thing on the, oh, we're not doing it on the, hold on, this could be why. Let's go into the, in the mod view model and see what we got here. We're probably not creating it there is the problem. Here's the problem, is we need these two pieces right here, but we need also, I think, wait, hold on one second. Let me double check this out because I want to make sure I'm not wrong on this. We come in here. Okay, you know what? This is the
then it
fix.
says you need to have the group name on whatever the data context for the list box is.
It's the data, well, it's not. It's on the item itself. So the group name is on the item is what I've decided to do. And so that's where I'm putting it on the individual item. And I'm making sure that each one has the group name there. So that's what I'm doing here. Let's go back. So this one actually will work. It's just that I wasn't setting it here. I think that's going to fix that problem. So they're not all lighting up. They're not all enabled. Let's try running that and see what happens. I think theoretically, yes, you are right, but I wasn't entirely comfortable doing that either because I have multiple groups of radio buttons. And so how am I going to know what group name to use? And so what I decided to do instead is pass it into the constructor through the view model. So here's what's happening here. Here I've got several, for example, on the damage view model, I've got several radio enum lists I build, and each one gets an individual group name. And then I set that property individually for each one of the radio buttons. So let's see if this fixes it. There you go. Okay, so step one is fixed. Okay?
So we have a functional radio button set, so to speak.
Yeah. The next thing I want to do, though, is I want to, I don't understand why this isn't working at design time. I want to be able to change the value and see the radio button update. And I want to understand why that's not working. Because when we did before, when we changed the value, here, let's close this down and I'll show you what Will built for us and that works really well. Do we have a checklist in here? We do. So we come in here to damage filter and we say, what is it? Selected value, I think is what we're going to do. Selected value. No. Well, let's just see if I do that. Not working. How did I get this working before on this? Yeah, because it's just a regular list box. Maybe it's that we couldn't set these in advance at design time. Maybe that was simply that what I'm asking to do just doesn't exist. In which case, though, I still want to see, though, if filling it will set it. So I guess I want to do a test is what I want to do. So the mod builders here, let's drop a button on here. Let's throw a button like over to the right of this guy right here. And when we click that button, we'll do something. BTN test. that. Test like this. Let's add our click event handler. And then in the button click, let's do a margin. That, so it kind of moves out a little bit. And then let's make our right margin like a -20, right like that. So we get the other thing back in there. Okay, so in there, what I want to do is I want to, let's go look at the test click. I just hit the tab key for TabTX reference to get out here because with CodeRushed. And now we should be able to go out and get to, I think we can modify the view model directly there. By typing in VM and dot. Do I have anything? No, nothing. No, I can't see the VM from here. I was assuming I would be able to do that. The key, I maybe have to find it. That's probably what I have to do, is I have to go find that by reference of that. Rory, can you just look up WPF user control finding resources by key for me? Give me a link in the chat room. I'm going to run it, and hopefully by the time you find that, and we hit the test button, we are going to be able to figure out how to access that data on there.
The user control has a find resource or try find resource method.
Okay. So I assume that is it, but I could be wrong because I don't have a strong understanding of view models. Because, as you know, kids...
Disclaimer! Mark doesn't know what he's doing!
All right. So...
I posted a quick Stack Overflow reference for that particular thing.
All right, excellent. Cool, and let's go look at that. The data context is what Will says, the data context. That's probably exactly right. So let's set a breakpoint over there. Take a look at, where are we? Modbuilder.cs. Interesting, it is not in my list of recents. And so let's set a breakpoint. Come over here, and let's look at the, let's just look at the data context in here. Yeah, so the stack panel is the data context there. Yeah, so then how am I building the mod builder? Where am I assigning this outside of it is the question. I bet I am. All right. So I guess I'm expecting to see where's my data context being used. In the main window, I think this is the one right here, the mod builder right here. So I don't have any apparent data context assigned to this at this point. I think so. This could be part of the problem. I may not be able to modify this in my breakpoint, is what I am suspecting is the case here. Modbuilder.xaml, view code. Wait,
Will points out that data contexts are inherited.
Oh, okay. So let's see what happens. I've got my breakpoint there. Let's hit the test button, and let's see what we get. Let's see. Is it going to be in scope? Is it going to be? Am I going to be able to see something like a data context here? Not for the class, so no, apparently not. Let me get the link.
Sounds like it's kind of like CSS, so if you don't have a data context on yourself, it should be provided from your outer object, so whatever's in the tree above you, rather than what you have inherited from.
Right, no, I get that. I get that part. Hold on a second. I am trying to drag. Here we go. So we're looking at this. So this is what Roy gave us right here. User can just find resources, try find resource. Okay. So let's see if that's going to help us. I'm not sure if it is or not. Try find resource, VM, like that. clear local. And let's run that line of code and see what we get back. Nice. Okay, so we get our view model back, which that makes me happy. Let's go in and say we need to typecast this as a mod view model. Right, there we go. And go execute the line of code again. So you would use listbox.dataContext, where listbox is whatever the name of the listbox is. So we cast that to the view model that you have bound. Okay, so he's talking about using that in the other code down below, which I totally am with. I get with you on that. So now I just wanted to come in here and say, okay, let's look at, I want to set the attack type. Is that what we were calling this on this page? Which is the enum here? It's the mod type is equal to, IntelliSense is slow right now. Mod type dot, let's say condition is what I want to do. And then what's my problem here? What's mod type? Is that something different? Oh, it's a radio num elist. Okay, so it's okay. So we can say dot value is equal to condition. Okay, that's the thing that I'm hoping. And value is what? An int. It's an object. Okay, so it's going to work. Okay, fine. So we've got that, and then I want to do something else. I want to say, hey, if the value is equal to condition, then I want to change it to something else, is what I want to do. I want to set it to, so we're just kind of toggling back and forth. Incoming intact.
This is to prove that although we couldn't do so with the design time, we'll prove that at runtime the actual affectation of the model, of the value of the mod type, does impact the UI.
Yeah.
That's the sort of hope here.
So, and I'm just creating some test code here so we can just visually go through it. I'm going to run it now, but then I'm going to come back in and I'm going to hit that test button again and again. I don't think we're going to see anything happening here. So I'm hitting it again and again. I assume I'm breaking in and nothing is happening. So next what I want to do is I want to go into the location where that's, and actually, I want to do one other thing too. Let's set another breakpoint here. Set a breakpoint. What is running? Oh yeah. What is going on?
Microsoft Edge having fun with your memory.
Yeah, but it's like, all right, I'll kill the Twitch dashboard, I suppose, because that seems to be taking up a lot of CPU. It didn't kill it, did it? Can I end just that one? Oh, it looks like I can, but then it's reloading it? Interesting.
Possibly it's wondering, maybe it thinks it crashed, and therefore it's like, oh, hang on, I know how to fix that for you. I'm going to go find it again.
I got to get the whole, it looks like I got to shut the whole thing down is what I got to do. All right, so let's do that. I'm going to copy just my URL so I can quickly bring it up again. I'm going to kill Edge, and then we're going to start it up again. All of Edge. Okay, there, it's down. Let's start it back up again. Here it comes. And it might actually offer to open everything up, but I think I'm going to say no on that. This is slow. What is going on, kids? Oh, come on, guys. Oh, because it's open. It's just opening everything up that used to be open. Interesting. Okay. Hopefully it's going to be kinder this time around. By the way, folks in the chat room, I'm interested in your thoughts on this. Discord, yes or no? Should I do that? I looked at it and I was like, oh God, I'm gonna have to do so much, more work and, being in another community and maintaining that. Actually, Roy, what are your thoughts on that too? What are your thoughts if we set that up?
Not really looked into it much, to be honest. I certainly heard it mentioned in a few circles, but beyond very surface information. I don't know much about it.
Well, it's basically kind of like a community kind of location here. So you can see I've set it up here, but I've done nothing in it yet, is what I've done. So I'm not entirely sure what I want to do with that yet, but I'm interested to know what people think about that. Roy, can you send something to the chat room real quick? I want to make sure I've got the right window up here because I've seen in the past Twitch has shown me the wrong window. And yep, I see it. Great. Excellent. Excellent. Okay, good. So I've got that there. And you just opened up everything, didn't you? All right. So it was like
opened it all in, not just individual tabs, but individual windows as well.
Yeah, you're right. It did. I'm slightly.
Because something you really needed was less organization.
I feel like I want to talk to some people. Is what I feel like I want to do. Well, then it says you can set values at design time. One issue you may run into is with listbox is synchronized with the current item or something like that property. King440 asks why projector, and I'm not sure what the context of that is. King440. I'm not familiar with that. Is synchronized with current item. Can you look that up for me, Rory? Well, because I want to do one other thing on here, and I want to come in and I want to say, and when I hit the test button, I want to come in and I want to grab. Let's rename this right here to the mod view model like that, and I want to come in and I want to change another property on here, which is the conditions property dot value. So this is the checklist, and set that equal to conditions dot. We'll make say charmed like that, I suppose. And I don't know. Then I'm going to set it to something different. We'll just kind of we'll do this, and we'll say invisible, like that. And I want to see if these are updating here. Now, what's wrong here?
So, Mark, the synchronize with current item appears to be a property designed to, it says here, gets or sets the value that indicates whether a selector, so things like a list box, should keep the selected item synchronized with the current item in the item's property. And it's just literally a thing you set.
Okay.
On your highest level. Where was the second reference I had?
Whoops. Got that right there. All right. Let's keep running.
So.
What? Object reference not set. What's not? What's my exception here? What is conditions is not set? I'm hovering over these and I'm like, it's not giving me the pop-up hint that I'm expecting. Let me just change this to here. View model.
Well, that list is there.
That's
fine.
Good.
Value is null, but this being assigned to value. Mind you, value is a property. Does it do something inside of that which would throw the null?
Yeah, it does, but let's. But I don't think it does much. It calls on property change, and on property change is just going to invoke. That doesn't make sense. Is in my handler. Let's set a breakpoint here, and step, and see what happens here. What? Okay. This doesn't make sense to me at all.
Value.get returns a null. That's what it's saying in the detail there. So it is inside the value.
The get returned a null. How is the get?
Is it not inherently a bad thing, is it?
Well, how's the get being called is my question. Oh, is it maybe on conditions? No. Get returned a null. That doesn't make sense at all to me. Value is being, wait, value is not being assigned, it's being checked. But still, it should be null, it should be good. Value.get returned null. I don't even understand why I'm getting an exception here.
I mean, the only slightly strange thing is that you're going to be comparing a null with what should otherwise be a value type.
I'm going to restart. I almost am suspecting that the error seems so bizarre compared to what I'm seeing. I'm almost wondering if a restart of the app would make this all of a sudden work, right?
Couldn't hurt.
I don't even get that. Let's look at that one more time. I want to see what the call stack is on that. Where is it? Where does it think it is? Stack trace. Invoke handler. Button test click. Yeah. So we're like, nothing else coming on there. I was thinking, oh, I'd get the stack trace of what it called inside of there that led to it, but I just realized, oh no, that's not going to do it. Just give me the stack trace of this call. So, okay, I'm going to kill it and restart it.
Regardless of anything else, your value in conditions.value is somehow a null, but should it not be having the value of the enumeration, which is always going to internally be an integer? So you're comparing a null to an int.
Oh, is that my problem? Really?
No, I don't know why that, I don't know why yields an object
wait.
reference issue.
This is my problem, I think. It's a null, and I'm trying to typecast it as a condition.
So
I think that's
producing that effect.
yes.
Okay.
I think that might be this. It might be the typecast is the problem, right there, right? And so if I just gave it a value, everything would work on that particular kind of thing right there. So interesting. I think that's the problem. Is it can't promote a null to a condition. So, okay.
So your view model's value is capable of being null when it really shouldn't be capable. It should be a 0 as its base value.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It is, I'm not let's take a look at this thing and see what we're doing.
A check enum list is... Yeah.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So if I did anything on it before, we wouldn't get this error, I think. So I think the question isn't starting it again. The question is really going in and making a change to the control, to the conditions list, and then running it. I think that we would have the same error above if we just came right in and hit the radio button. If we hit test right now.
Internal value, if you assign it the value 0 some part during its initialization before you try and load any values,
then I think it'll work.
Set it?
Yeah, and I think that if I hit test now, we're going to get an error above it. If I do this, we're going to get an error. Oh, I thought we would get it here, but we're not.
So the mod type value it must be being initialized.
If our theory is correct, that would be right. Yeah, so let's set this. This is the next statement. Let's just continue to run. Let's see if that the conditions one will set something in here. There's our property change that we set there for value. Now let's come click test again. And now is this going to work if I hit F10? It works. So our theory was good on here. And I think you're right, Rory, is we're setting the mod type value somewhere, but I'm not sure where that's actually being set there. So, okay, so conditions. Let's look at conditions here and see what's going on here, because I think we're going to find some initialization here in the let's go over here, mod view model .cs. Where's our constructor? Here it is. Well, we're doing this, but we're not setting the value. Look, we are setting the value here. So that's kind of what's happening.
Value.
Yeah. And so that's what we need to do here. Conditions.value is equal to conditions.none. We got a none in there. Oops, sorry.
Assuming that you want none to be a valid state.
Yeah.
Otherwise, just pick the first thing in the list.
I'm going to say none. Right there. That's what I want it to be. And so I have an enum called conditions, and I have a property inside the view model called conditions as well. So this, I think, is going to fix that first problem. However, what I really wanted to do, so now we've got our test up and running, and so the next time we run, that'll be good. But what I'm hoping for is when I click on this, I was hoping to see something changed. So it looks like I need to set it from both situations, right? In other words, this is kind of one way working right now, right? If I come in here like this, but if I click the test button and set those properties, this is not updating, and I really want that to happen. Same thing here. So I can use this to set values, but I can't use it to update. And so we need to do this. The other fields all will update, right? If we go into our test, let's set a breakpoint on test again. Mod builder right over here. Let's change another property in here that isn't based on these, and we'll kind of show what we're trying to do here. So if I come in and hit test one more time, let's say mod view model dot requires consumption equals not requires consumption. And this I expect is going to work well. Let's run it. We should see that toggle every time I click test. See it?
Okay.
So
Yep.
I want the exact same behavior working here.
So you're modifying the internal data that the control is representative of, and the control itself is reacting to that change.
Yes, and that's what I want these to do as well. Will Bennett
I
says...
believe that's what Will Bennett was saying earlier about the is synchronized with current item. So your list box, if we add an is synchronized with current item property to it, set it to true, it will observe the things it's bound to and effectively alter itself when you alter the dependent data.
Yeah.
If I've understood him correctly.
That might be true. Also, though, he's saying you need to make sure the property changed event triggers when you update. Let's go look at that. Let's kind of step through it. So now we know we've got a good testing environment. We have a model for which we want the others to work on. And let's go figure that out as well. So we've got, let's set a breakpoint in like, let's do it with the checkboxes first. So set a breakpoint like here. And we will click the button and then we'll step into it. Okay. And I hit F11 to step in, but guess who needs a breakpoint? Because I think I've got an option here that's not going to get me in here. Now we do know on property is changes being fired. So we have that part is definitely happening. Let's go back over and let's continue the run, hit the test button again. Clear that breakpoint and just run it. Okay, so value is coming in. The value is invisible. The current value is charmed, so we're definitely changing it. And let's see if we can follow out to see who's listening to us. Is anybody listening? I hit F11 to go into invoke. I didn't get anywhere. Property change is there, but I'm not sure. Can I see the number of listeners from here? I don't know if I can. I'm not familiar with this class. I'm looking to see if I can see something like listeners, maybe. No. Looking for a property that indicates who's listening to this. Attributes, abstract. Query type, all of these things are not likely. Module name, reflected type, return parameter, return type, return. Actually, this is, so I've got method and target. Dispatcher. Dispatcher hooks? No. I'm not getting it. Okay, so I'm getting a sense that that anybody is hooking up, listening into the property changed on this. Let's go back and look at the check enum list class here. We'll take a look at what we've got here and see if we have any collections here. I've got an observable collection here. Do I have anything on that? Looks like I'm not hooking into its collection changed event. So that might be something that we do, and we add the code here. It's kind of what I'm playing with, is the idea of fixing this. So let's break it, and we'll play with that and see if that works. So I'm going to say there, and then I'm going to say items dot collection changed, I think is what it is. There it is right there. And we'll create a new event handler for it. And let's just set a breakpoint here and see when we get hit. I have a feeling we might get it hit a lot. Can you mark the time on this?
Yep.
The time on this? Extract method code refactoring provider. Let's see what my stack trace is. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste that over to you, Rory, in Skype, so you have that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get the devs to look at that. I saw this, I think, yesterday as well, and so I'm interested in seeing what's going on with that. All right. Okay, so we will, let's keep going. Let's run it. And what I'm hoping to see is when I make a change to the value, that's going to get here. And if not, we're going to need to look through that and make sure that that is, that's all, everything's popping up here. But maybe there's another piece missing here. So looks like I'm already here at this, but this, I'm not sure what's my call stack. Let's take a look at that. Windows, whoops, debug, Windows.
Presumably it's happening if nothing else because of the binding to the enum in the first place, and therefore the items are getting added to the collection.
Right there. Okay, good. That's where it is. I'm going to clear this for a little bit, get it running. There's the run. Now it's up. I'm going to set the breakpoint again. Here's the window. Let's see what happens if we click here. Nothing, nothing.
Nothing.
Test, nothing as well. Okay.
So within the mod builder, do we have what do we have that particular list? Is it bound in both directions, or is it just the one?
You're talking about the XAML binding to it? Is that what you're
Yeah.
asking? And you're talking about in modbuilder.xaml?
I believe so.
Okay, hold on a second.
Because it declares the particular list we're interested in, the radio buttons, and it has a binding of some description. But can we not bind in two ways? As in, so if we alter the thing that it is bound to, it then reflects.
Well, right now we're only binding to the item source is what we're doing. So we're only filling it, actually. There's no actually other binding in here yet. So this actually may be part of the problem here. So like we might say, the problem is it's not really like necessarily a property of the list box that I think we want to bind. It's the property of in the data templates here, whether these items are checked or not, that I think we want to bind. So I don't think necessarily the solution is through binding, not necessarily. Now, I'm not a WPF expert by any stretch, right, of the imagination. But
me neither.
my sense, though, is down here in the items add. Now, we do have, check this out. When the property changes, we have a handle item property changed that we're hooking up to, right? And there we call value is equal to calc value. Okay, so let's set it may be that, let's just set a breakpoint here and see what happens. Okay, so here we're on the check enum list piece. I think this is going to work. Let's come in here and grab the app so you can see it. Let's just see if we get a breakpoint here when we do this. We do not get one here. Do we get one here? We do get one there. Oh, because we're in the...
So there's clearly a distinction then between the two mechanics.
Right. We are in the check enum list here. I've just checked the piece there, and I get bludgeoning, which is, I think, the item I just checked. That would make sense. And if I click on cold as well, let's set a breakpoint here one more time, and we'll see what we get. And fire, we'll add fire to that.
Attempting to grab our attention, Mark. Will Bennett says we need to hook the outer view model to the property change of each of the item view models so that it can update its value when any of the items changes. That's quite long and involved. We have to parse that a little bit.
Yeah, I'm reading it. To each of the item view models so that it can update its value when any of the items change. Yeah, I think that's essentially true. What's interesting to me, though, I thought I set a breakpoint here. I was going to say I'm not breaking. Now I'm breaking. Okay, cool. Let me just, I got you, Will. I'm going to come back. There we go. So that all worked as we're expecting. I want to just see what happens if we're calculating the value in our radio enum list when we make a change. So let's go take a look at that and see what that code looks like, because it could be that I've made a mistake there that I want to fix. So radio enum list, calc value, let's set that breakpoint right there, and let's see what happens now. Okay, so I'm glad I'm at the breakpoint, that's good. And let's see what we have here. Result, if item is checked, result was equal to the value. Are the values 0 for everything? Is that my problem? Let's keep running it through. Nope, this value looks like it's 2. Okay, cool. And so it's returning the enum to object there. So that actually is looking like it is working as well. The calc value is working. And get out of there. and it's equal to condition, which is what I think I just checked. No or yes? Did I do it? Let's try again. Click on condition. Whoops. Let's set a breakpoint down here. Okay, one more time. Click on outgoing attack. What's value equal to? No tooltip for it. No hint is showing up for that. Wait, there we go. I got it. It's player property. I wonder if I've got. So that's kind of interesting. The value calculation is wrong. Is what's happening. Is appears to be happening on this. Let's run it again. Oh wait, I got it. It came in twice. Hold on. And let's click on incoming attack. First time through, it's outgoing attack. Then I'm going to hit it again. Second time through, this makes sense to me. Hold on. It's incoming attack. Okay. So the reason it wasn't what we were expecting it to be was because the change was happening because one radio button was going from checked to unchecked. And we were still seeing, oh, here it is coming in what it is, I think. And so the second one is the correct answer, I believe. So I think that I may be able to fix that as well. How am I getting the...
Will's just asking in the chat room whether our enum is a flagged enum, because if it isn't, we should not be using the bar equals operator.
I think it is. Okay, yeah, you're right. I think on that is that it is. Let's go look at that. So we'll look at the enum. We'll answer that question right here. Enums mod type is not a flag. So these are going to be 0, 1, 2, and 3, I think. Right? Should we specify those
interesting.
Specifically? 1 and equals 2 and 3.
I'm not. If we're going to be using,
I just assumed this was the case, but go ahead. What do you say, Roy?
well, they're not combinable, are they? So actually, a radio button-wise, they're not necessarily flagged.
Right,
are they?
right. But if we've got an OR operator in there in that calc num value, I think that's a bug, and I think that's fair in the calc value piece.
Right, because
yeah.
that piece of code is designed to accumulate the items.
Yeah. So what I should
All
really
of those
just
items.
do is
Having
do.
said that, there should only be one checked items because
Yeah.
by definition it's a radio set and it will have removed one of them.
Yeah. So I think what I'm going to do is this right here, like that, and do that, and then I'm going to say otherwise. I'm going to return enum to object of 0 is what I think I'm going to do. Enum to object of
That seems fair.
0.
Nice catch, Will. Thanks very much.
Yeah, this is a bug, but a convert to int32. I just want you to just have that
I think
0.
it's not the bug we're chasing, but it will make the debug information we're looking at and indeed the state at any given point in time easier to understand.
Yeah, it should be. So then we're gonna. I think I'm not sure if we're gonna still come in here twice. I guess we are. Let's go look at this where this is hooked up. This is in property changed on the radio enum list on item, and item is that. What is where are we firing? The property changed is when the value changes. The is checked changes. So yeah. So what's going to happen is we're going to get this twice. I don't really see a way around this, and we're going to get temporarily.
Effectively, it's as
potentially
one thing is checked and another is unchecked.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's correct. Is what I think is going to happen on that. Okay, so let's go look at yeah, and because we have the binding. Yeah, the problem is we don't. The problem is that it's a binding out here. If we look at the binding on our data templates, it's a binding strictly to is checked. So when something checked goes to false, we're going to get that fired and we're going to recalculate it. And when something goes to true, the same thing's going to happen. There's not really I don't see a great elegant way around this right now. So there'll be a temporary state where the data I think is not good, but I think because of the order, the unchecking comes first and then the checking comes second. So I think that we'll ultimately get good data. But I still want to find out why we're not able to kind of make this two-way right here. So Will, I am not fully understanding what I need to do when you're this suggestion. You need to hook the outer view model to the property change of each of the item view models so that it can update its value when any of the items change. If you want to elaborate more, or if you want me to bring you into this call and we can you can talk me through this.
A view model for an individual radio button as well as one for the set.
Yeah, I do. So
because that in theory sort of matches conceptually what he's talking about.
So I have.
So when an individual item changes, that's fine. It reflects in the control itself. That is to say, the individual radio button. But you need to bubble that back out one extra layer so that the list control changes its value. Is that what he's meaning? Hang on. If you want to do two-way binding, add mode two-way or something like that in the binding. Select to which binding?
Yeah, looks like, yeah, I have the property change hooked. The value is there. The problem is, so is it that the is checked? I guess I'm wondering, so we've got, let's kind of, I want to try and, I think what I'm going to do, since I'm a little bit more, feel more comfortable working with code than with the XAML right now, because I'm really not sure how to fix this with the XAML, and if I can, is I think what I want to do is I want to play with the code and understand it. I want to follow through the items property change piece right here. So that's changing the value, and I want to get to, I guess I just want to say I want to step through the code is what I want to do. I want to run it and I want to step through the code, kind of wrap my head around it, and see where we get with that. So in our test, and we're setting those values. I want them to update those pieces is what I want to do. So I think it's not, yeah, this is kind of where I wanted to be. So let's go look at the radio enum list, and we've got a handle property change on there. All right, so let's run it and see what happens. Clear this one. Right here, clicking it, waiting for it to clear. So this is the problem with a long feedback loop. I'm clicking it and it's probably working, but I'm not seeing it. So I'm clicking again.
Yeah.
There we go. I'm not sure what was going on with that. Okay. All right, here we go. We're out. Clicking on test. Test, where's my breakpoint? Oh, I think I have to do this for the test. There I get the handle item property changed. So I'm not getting this. I thought I was going to get here from that, but I'm not. So let's go in here and run it. Let's continue to run it and click on test here. Okay. And so now we've got in here to value, mod type value. On property changed. Why aren't we triggering it? Why, or are we just not listening? Was I just in the wrong one? Maybe I was in checklist and not this one. Property changed of this on the view model base. Who hooked up to us? We're in the radio enum list, right? Handle property change. We're expecting to stop here next. I hit run and I didn't go there. Why not?
So I think what Will's trying to suggest is that all of our code is kind of correct, but and we've got our inner pieces, so our inner items, they're listening to obviously the UI portion, and they're listening to whether or not we set them via code, and they are adjusting themselves. But when let's say incoming attack is selected is the current item and is obviously the only item at that point, It's not notifying the higher level list that anything has changed.
That might be it. So Will's saying maybe I'm misunderstanding the problem. Can you state what is wrong? Yeah, it's not. And earlier he suggests that you need to bind selected value to the list box. So that I think is definitely not the solution, because the list box selected value is pretty much independent of what the value pieces are there. It doesn't matter what's selected. The individual data templates are checkboxes, and those are going to be checked or not. And the selection is independent of that. It might be that I need to create a descendant the list box. I could see that as a possible solution to this. But what I'm really looking for is, I think, just some code that can kind of quickly fix this and make these changes in here. But the problem is, the essence of the problem is that when I programmatically make changes to the data model, I'm not seeing the UI update. So when I change my conditions to blinded or deafened or whatever, I'm not seeing the UI update. When I click the UI and make the changes, I am seeing the view model update. So the view model is updating, but if I change the view model, the UI is not. And that's what I want to happen next. I want to be able, when I click on test here, like this, I want to be able to get into my breakpoint, which is off screen. Oh no, here it is right here.
So isn't that the distinction between a single direction and a bidirectional bind?
Yeah, I guess you could say it is, but
At some level anyway.
But I think that well, let's look at this too, because we can go back into the XAML and look at this. The data templates are here, right here. My sense is that if I'm not that these are not one-way bindings, that they're two ways. I always thought that one way and two way, as I recall. I say always thought. I learned this like 2 or 3 years ago when I was reading about it, and never really got deep into data binding. But when I was reading about it, as I recall, two-way and one-way are kind of special condition operators that are modifiers on the binding that you say. But he's saying add mode equals two-way to the binding to ensure it's two-way. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. We'll go ahead and mess with that and play with that. Maybe that's absolutely the solution. Maybe that's all I need to do. So let's do mode equals two-way, like that. And we'll do that. See if that works on the data template for the check enum. And we'll do the same over here on this one right here, the radio enum view model. If that's our solution, I love WPF, and it's the most beautiful thing in the world. So that is on our mod builder. We've only made the change here. We'd have to do that all our other data templates that are out there. Let's go ahead and run that and see if that works. Yeah, when I've done this in the past, I feel like I've not had to specifically say mode is two-way. So I'm not entirely clear on when I need to do that, if that's the case, but we'll see. I could be wrong. Okay, so let's hit test. Okay, we're at our breakpoint. I'm just gonna run it, but nothing is happening or changing up in here, even though we're changing these values. Nothing here.
You might want to do that on the value binding.
All right, let's take a look at that.
One extra place that's.
Oh, yeah, good point. I did it in the wrong place, didn't I? Or in a place that is maybe not entirely the big deal on there. And
apparently
where
some controls default to two-way and some to one-way.
Is that what you found?
Well, this is what Will's saying, so I think it's probably best to be explicit when we want it to be a particular variant.
Guess who doesn't like that? Cannot work with the read-only property of type value on check enum model. Why is value a read-only property? Check enum view model. It's only one way. That could be a problem.
That could be an issue.
Let's look at the...
That does make me wonder how we were even being allowed to set it.
Well, hold on. No. The value of the enum is like the equivalent to the numeric value of that particular piece. Yeah, Will says that should be fine. That's the item itself. So no, it's not the value property of this guy, but it could be the value property of the parenting list, which is not which is not at all bound in any way to the list box
That's
here.
the selected item.
Yeah, and so this is where we kind of get into this kind of tricky thing here, where I'm not exactly sure how we solve this, because it seems like we almost need a list box with its own property that then it can then report in what the state is of these guys, I guess. It is, yeah, or alternatively, this two-way binding, we get this two-way binding to work. This is probably the better solution here, because I'd like to just stick it in a list box and use the data template. That's what I would like to do. So, but the two-way binding is not working on the mod builder, apparently. And so that's not working. So now I'm back to what I was saying before. I want to go in, well done. Listbox has a selected value property. I'm thinking you need to bind that to the list.
So we're setting our item source to a list.
That doesn't make sense to me.
Also
Well,
need to set the...
you could be right. I'm just saying does not make sense to me. So Will is suggesting listbox has selected value right here. I am not sure. Yeah. So you're suggesting a binding to what? We can try it, but I am not getting it at all in terms of what we're going to bind this thing to. This is my mod type, so I guess I'm binding it to my mod type property dot value, like that. See what that does? You want me to do a two-way on that? I'm not getting that at all. How this is going
Mod
to...
type items is the de facto list of things that are possible. Value is a single item.
Yeah, so value is going to be the
this.
combination of that.
So
All right,
yeah,
we'll sing to it. I'm like, okay, I don't get it. If this works,
yeah.
I don't understand why.
If this works, all hail the Will Bennett.
Yeah,
But
everything's on the line in this moment.
Yeah.
Will, what are you thinking? Are you thinking we just simply run now and try it with this? This is the mod type, this piece up at the top, and that's it? Because I don't think there's any connection to selected value. I'm like pretty sure, unless I'm
he's pretty confident.
Wow. Let me just look. I just want to see where selected value is showing up in the code here.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. Okay. Fine. It doesn't hurt anything to try, does it? So we're in some.
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah. So this is just accessing combo boxes, mod builder. It's in the XAML. Target value edit. Nope. Will, this is going to be magic if this works. I'm going to call this absolute magic. I feel like there's some...
So we've got WPF app's going to appear on the screen. We've got a radio button set, which we're not going to touch. We're just going to punch that test button a couple of times and watch either the radio buttons switch by themselves or nothing happen.
Now, okay, here we go. Click. Yeah, that's what I thought was going to happen. Yeah. So we'll, there we go.
Sad Panda!
What'd you say? Will's what?
Mortal too.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because as I was doing this, I was thinking, Will knows so much more about XAML than I do, right? He's rocking it with the sample code segments he's been sending us over the last few episodes. Yeah. And I was like, oh, Will, I don't think this is going to work. I'm like, I know just this much, and I feel like it's not going to work. But I love the hope, and I love the let's try it because it doesn't cost anything to try it.
I want to believe.
Yeah, but that was going to be huge if that was going to work, but it's not. So I think I'm stuck with and part of it is I'm missing a foundational understanding. The only way I think I can get it is if I really step through this code and figure out what's going on here. Hard to remote debug via chat. You have nothing to apologize for, buddy. You are kicking ass as usual, helping us out. So helping us look at this. If you want to join in via audio, Will, just give us the word and we'll give you a call and add you to the group if you want to. I can also give you access to the code via live share. I think I've got that installed if we want to try that. But meanwhile, we're still trying to figure this out. Let's go back to my mod viewer XAML. This is where I'm making this change. I want to follow through. I'm I want to follow through the radio enum list. We've got the value, the handle item property changed, and I want to see what we do with that. And I think that we need to call something is what I think we need to do to set something is what I think we need to do. Kind of the reverse of, I think we need a function that's the reverse of calculate value is what I think, or maybe not. This gets me the value and brings it in. That's from whether it's checked or not. This is not what I want. I want here, this one. I think my theory is we need a function here that says set these is checked from values. And then all the other changes we made will work.
That would make sense.
Right? That's what I think we need. Okay, so let's click on test. Let's hit run. And here we are. We're here. Perfect. So our current value is whatever condition. Our new one is incoming attack. This is where we need the code. We need something that says set UI, set checked from value. This is what I'm looking for to add. Now I'm happy because guess what, kids? I'm in
logic. That makes sense.
I'm in code and I'm understanding what's going on, right? Set checked from value is there. Why did it want me to return an object? I don't get that. I'm going to say no, I don't think so. Let's do...
So now we're going to iterate through...
It's going to be based on this right here is kind of what it's going to be based on.
And it's if item equals correct value, then we're going to set checked as true.
Something along these lines. We're going to set...
for everything else, I guess we're going to set is checked as false.
Yeah, so we're going to say if... if item value equals the value, can I compare that with it's comparing it, I want to do
yeah, well, you're going to do another convert to int32 around that as well, I suppose.
Yeah.
Or you can have it come in as an int32 in the first place.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think I want to play with right there. It's coming in as an int32, and which means I want
confused.
to...
Why do we have an object as our type of our raw data? Because we know this is a radio enum list, and we presumably know that everything's going to be an integer.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think we should change it. I'm going to kill it and change it right now. I totally agree with you on the value here of that. That feels like a good change here. So let's change that to an int. Let's change that to an int as well. And
for each in the method above.
This is going to return nothing in there. That's probably why it said return object, because I had a return code in there. In the method above, right up here.
Yeah, the radio enum. It's a constructor. Sorry.
No, this one's okay here, I think, because we're doing get values of it here. But wait, I must be missing something. Hold on. Let's go to value and see everywhere it's assigned.
And
Calc
Hugo
value.
is joining us in the chat room. Greetings to you, Hugo.
Thanks, Hugo. Good to have you here. All right, so there, enum to object, and then I'm going to I'm going to cast that to an integer. CI, one of my favorite new templates in CodeRushed. C for cast, I for integer. You can use it for anything. Cast a string, cast whatever. Okay, so all right, so there we've got, we're now dealing with this. I think we were with objects because enum was returning to object on it. That's, I think, what was kind of going on there. Okay, so now back up in here. If this is equal to value, then we're going to say item.isChecked is equal to true. And
now, do we feel the need to set anything to false, or will that be automatic? Because if not, then let's just, inline the two. There we go.
I'll just do that.
Exactly what I was thinking.
All right, something like that. We'll just do that for set checked from value. And let's run it. See if it compiles and runs. Good, good, good. Don't need the, nope. What do we got?
Not liking that.
Mod type.
Did my suggestion break everything?
Incoming value. Oh, that's why it's object, so we can just assign anything to it. Get it?
Ah, well.
Exciting, though, for a moment.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
That's all right. It's just a little more ceremony around it. That's all right.
Yeah. All right, so then we're down to there. We've got that typecast there. What else do we have? Any other problems?
You were going to do a
calc value.
set. The set believes an int is coming in, but I think you're passing an object in. How is that working?
I cast it. I'm casting it right here.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're okay. See what happens now.
No Hugo, Mark, no go boom today. We have diverted back into our Dungeon Master command and control center app.
Yeah, the problem is I can't get this guy to light up no matter what power supply I hook this thing up to. The problem is I think its resistance is too low, and all the power supplies have got built-in shorting protection, and that's why we're not doing that today. I'm going to be
capped by health and safety.
Yeah, I'm going to be in Vegas speaking at VS Live next week, presenting Science of Great UI live. And when I'm in Vegas, I'm going to pick up like a dumber or more intelligent power supply, depending on how you're looking at the problem. And I will be bringing my nichrome wire with me on the plane. Everybody, don't worry, I'm not a threat to safety. Everything's going to be okay.
Picture you going through the customs.
I want everybody,
it's okay,
yeah.
I'm absolutely fine. No, that stuff in my bag, that's not bomb-making kit at
Yeah,
all.
it's the autism that makes me do this, right? When I was young, like, I don't know, I want to say like 13 years old, I was getting on a plane. This is way before, 9/11. Getting on a plane with my cousin, and I kept going through the metal detectors, and I kept setting it off. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I had my jacket on at the time. That's back in the days when you could go through with your jacket. They were checking. Mark will never be seen again. Great.
The emphasis.
Here's the thing. If NSA gets me, I'm going to make a pitch for them to hire me. I'm going to say, like, just let me work for you guys, right? I'm good at, problem solving and stuff like that. But it's the autism. It makes me say whatever I'm thinking, right? And I'm going through, I don't know why I keep triggering the metal detector. I reach my hand in my pocket and I realize, oh, I know what it is. It's my switchblade comb. This gag I have that's a switchblade that pops a comb out. So I'm like, well, I better tell everybody because they're going to be very nervous if I pull a switchblade out of my pocket. So I say, oh no, it's a switchblade comb. And I go like that. The blade pops out and I look and everybody's reaching for their gun. Everybody is just, the people we're sitting down, we're standing up. All of a sudden,
Don't have a sense of humor.
I'm surrounded by, the precursor to airport security, the precursor to TSA, with all grabbing their weapons and looking at me, and then seeing what a fool I am holding the comb out, and everybody's taking a breath and sitting down, and this is back when I had hair too, so, I was like, it's okay, no need to shoot people, no need to shoot. So, yeah.
So it's going to be fun, is what you're saying.
Yeah, so it's important to me to let everybody know that they're safe. No, I had another story too where I was at a speaking event in Australia, and as a gift they gave me they gave me some like toiletries or whatever, and I'm for some reason, this is right after 9/11. For some reason, I'm on TSA's list. I don't know why I'm on their list. Right, I'm coming in. I think the reason I'm on their list is because I had a flight that was scheduled to leave on, I think, the 12th of September, one day after 9/11. I had an outgoing flight for a conference that I was speaking at in the UK, in your hometown, or your home country, and and all these flights were canceled like crazy because of 9/11 for a couple days. And it was important to me to get there. So I pulled all of these strings to manage to get on one of the first flights leaving the country. I think that's my theory in terms of why I was on their list. Anyway, I'm coming back from Australia. And they start speaking in code. They're like, we got a blue light. They're shouting, we got a blue light. That's what they're saying. And there's like, we're keeping your passport. You need to go meet over here. So they confiscate my passport. They send me over and they, after I've collected my bags, they open up my bags. They open up my suitcase, my main suitcase, and there is white powder all throughout my suitcase. Looks like cocaine has been spilled all over. And I'm like, that wasn't there when I start reaching into the suitcase. And he's like, do not put your hands in the suitcase. And I'm like, I am not a drug dealer, sir. I just want you to know that is not my cocaine. That turns out,
Sit down. You're going to be here a while.
yeah, it is. It was soap. It was one of the gifts that I got from the speaking thing. It was like a bath bomb or some sort of powdery soap for it. Yeah, I don't know what blue light meant.
In it just to make sure it covers the inside of your suitcase.
Yeah. Hugo says they should live stream the moment going through security. That's everybody's going to get arrested. That's going to be the name of my show. Everyone gets arrested. So I'm going to be bringing nichrome wire. I'm going to be bringing my detonator cap with me on the flight. Don't worry, everything's okay, kids. It's just the words I'm using, so that I can test it.
Tiny URL to this episode where your explanation is prearranged.
So I can test it in the States and make sure that that I can actually get this to heat up and light up. And if that's good, I'll be okay. And then I'll come back and everybody will be happy and everything.
Stream, nothing else. Your explanation to whomever is asking you questions could be quite interesting.
Yeah. The other thing, by the way, related to that, I've said to my wife multiple times, I want to buy a body cam and just wear it at all times. So I can just, have the ridiculous things that happen to us, on display. And she's like, no, you're not wearing a body cam at all times. She thinks that's ridiculous.
AKA Target.
I also could write a book of all the ideas she said no to. The other one, holy cow, that she doesn't want me to do is she won't let me cut open the top of my head and then put in one of those devices that they give to paraplegics to hook into their motor cortex so that I can think and command things. She won't let me do that either. She's like, no.
Wow.
She's like,
imagine that.
I reached out to the professor at Duke University. I'm like saying, hey, I'm really interested. It's just like I'm getting stopped at a number of locations, number of places. She won't let me blow things up in the home. I'm telling you.
Sounds like a nice collection of stuff for a book, all right?
I don't know. Something. All right, so let's get back to some code, Roy. How are you doing on time, buddy? You normally have to leave by now.
I'm pretty close to needing to go.
Okay.
But, aren't we also pretty close to having massive success?
But I don't know. I hope so. It's like every show is dramatic, right? Isn't it? Let's see. I'm just stepping in here and let's see what we're doing here. Let's go like this.
Setting our UI based on our data.
Hey, we just got it. Okay, cool. Uh-oh. We're circular though. We got a circle. Okay. You see what's going on here?
We're about to go around again, aren't we?
Well, it's kind of going to maybe work, but what we really need to do is make sure that doesn't happen. What I want to do instead is I want to say something like setting internally, because we really I don't want anything coming around here on this. Setting internally is equal to true, like this. And then I'm going to select this right here. I'm going to use selection embedding feature. Just hit the letter F to embed that in and try finally. Type in SF for set to false. Oops, that didn't work because I'm debugging. Some of the templates do not work at debugging if they rely on the clipboard. And then just hit the CodeRushed key and choose declare that as a field. And fine, I'll put it with those fields right there. And then the last thing I want to do is I want to check to see if we are setting internally. Then I want to get out of here. If setting internally, then I want to return and get out. So that's kind of what I want to do. I don't think it's going to be true now. Let's restart. Okay, glad we were stepping through that. Let's put a breakpoint down here instead. And looks like I hit run. Did I? I'm not sure if I did. Yeah, it looks like I maybe.
I think you did, yeah.
Where is it? Where are you? Here it is. Okay. What's going on here? This is my load up thing. Let's clear the breakpoint here. All right, now set a breakpoint. Ooh, I think we've already got a good sign. Is that incoming attack is checked? That's never been checked before.
That's pretty good, eh?
Let's try test, and let's just try running it. Let's go through these breakpoints.
Let's just go for it.
Yeah,
There'll be one more breakpoint at least.
Let's trust that we are just
but I
brilliant.
have a good feeling about this. Hey, can you look at that?
We are seconds away from fixing it for the ad conditions, right? That's what it looks like. Okay, so cool. So that's what we need right there. Rory, I want to respect your time. Don't want to make you stay longer. Oh, you're collecting coins? Fine. We're gonna. Is this kind of your, hey, we just won, I'm collecting coins, we're rewarding ourselves now?
Well, it's a great, it's a winning sound, right?
Yeah, it is a winning sound. I love it.
Although that says 23 coins. Did you reset my count?
I did not, buddy. I did not. Hugo Doll is coming out. All right, so if you guys are just hanging out, as long as you're hanging out, I'm going to create a set checked from value over into my checked enum list as well. Let's go do that. And we'll do the same thing in here. Let's stop the run. Whoops, I need that in here, right there. And let's go ahead and declare that method. Fine, you can put it right there. This is not going to return an object. And let's go look at let's drop a marker there. We want essentially something like this. And what we want to do is we want to say if value and this item's value equals value or is not equal to 0. Because I don't think I want to do this again a second time. Oh, you know what? Let's just do this. We'll put it in a variable. That's what variables are for, right? So we're going to say item value, and it makes code easier to read anyway. So I'm better with that. So we're going to equal that. What's okay? Just checking the chat room because I saw some things going by there. All right. So if this item value and that, if that is equal to item value, then we're going to say item.isChecked is equal to true. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy. And I totally, by the way, think Will's suggestion of the two-way binding is making this code work now. I almost believe is true. Will, I can double check and confirm that later. I also want to, I want to say setting internally, set that equal to true, copy that to the clipboard, select all of this, use selection increase right there, hit the letter F, type in, this time I'm not debugging, so I'll be able to type in SF for set to false, and it'll give me that. Then I'm going to hit the CodeRushed key and choose declare field. There it is right there. Then I'm going to come down into here and say if setting internally, then exit, get out of there, because I don't want to get that kind of loop where we're going around or any inefficient code.
It's exactly the same pattern as we had the first time around.
And I think that's it, is what I think. This is like feeling pretty good to me, is what I think. We're going to go through each item, see if the item is inside of that value. I'm happy.
We have no setting false for previous.
Oh,
things.
you were absolutely right, because we want to do this. We want to do that right there, Rory. That was beautiful what you just did. That totally changed logic that wasn't working into logic that did work. I'm feeling good.
I'm feeling good too. I think this is going to work. It's all going to look awesome. And,
And we again, once again, everybody
celebrate.
thought I was going to...
No comeuppance.
No comeuppance today. Look at that. Beautiful.
Look at that.
Beautiful.
Everything works.
Everything works because we are geniuses, Rory. Really. That's, once again, the episode proves it.
Why not?
It only took an hour and 38 minutes to get here, and with a lot of help from Will Bennett. Thank you, Will. As usual, we're so happy that you're here with us.
Bennett,
Mr. Announcer Guy says yes. Really happy about that.
awesome contribution.
Hugo Dahl says, give me coins. We don't have anything ever up out there. Hugo, so glad that you could join us as well.
Rocks.
And I think you know what time it is?
Good question.
And therefore,
Yeah, it's time for a...
CodeRushed giveaway.
No worries, Hugo. We're always glad to have you there. By the way, I want the gimme coins command to do something. I want it to pop up a game with coins or something like that. I also want coins to be able to buy missiles. And if you have missiles, you can fire them from your drones to blow up other missiles or to blow up walls or blow up things. I'm not sure what. That would be cool, right? Multiple hits on a wall could blow up a wall. Something like that. Or maybe you could buy a wall building kit. Who knows, right? But playing with ideas like that. Okay, today's winner. So by the way, blowing up drones or make them drop coins. Yes. Hit the drone, maybe one hit, they lose some coins. Yeah, it's this battle for coins. That's fun.
Coin battle.
Yeah. Okay, that all sounds exciting. I think we're going to work on that. Okay, CodeRushed, by the way. Okay, I'm using CodeRushed every day inside of Visual Studio. You're watching me dog food the product live.
Aptonext reference,
Yep.
all manner of generation of code, and indeed, letting you know when code not so great. All sorts of great stuff. Makes
Yep.
us so much more productive than we would otherwise be.
That's right, and it's often catching problems that I don't catch. For example, spelling errors, things like that, or other kinds of issues. So, using that, you're watching us work in it. It helps us write code faster. You just saw me, create a try finally block, add code for setting internally to true and false. All of this was done with very few keystrokes. So not only am I using these, I'm also using CodeRushed, so I'm using my fingers very little in there. And so today's winner, absolutely free copy, full year license of CodeRushed is, watch for it dropping from the Visual Studio menus. Up above, it is
Chillaxathor.
Chillaxathor. Excellent, Chillaxathor. I will DM you with instructions for how to get that. Roy, thank you so much for hanging out with me this week. It's always a pleasure. You guys are always a great help. I love doing this, love doing the show. So we'll stay in this world right here where we're building up the Dungeons and Dragons. We're building up the Dungeons and Dragons game. I think we're close to a point of being able to actually create items, add those items as equipment, and be able to send those over, which means we'll be able to start the Dungeons and Dragons live stream once we get to that point, which I'm excited about once that happens. I think that's it for the stuff I wanted to talk about today. We'll see you part of next week. Next Thursday, I think I'm going to be speaking at VS Live. And I'm not sure if I'll be doing Wednesday or not. I think I'll have a chance to do one show before I have to hit the plane. So we'll see you next Tuesday.